you know, everybody clowns Diddy for the veil, right? For the burqa, right? But if you really think about it, like that wasn't some fetish. I just want to be butt naked with this on, right? He was going like to the furthest lengths to keep his identity hidden, right?
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
So what the Punisher is talking about is there have been several states that have recently, over the last 4 or 5 years, laws that opened up the time frame in which a victim can come forward and actually have the alleged defendant prosecuted. And so there have been some states that have pulled that back and said, okay, we went too far in that regard. But there are still many states that have those laws on the books. And so, and I think also it's with good cause that those laws are on the book, because when you have 18-year-olds, 17-year-old, 19-year-olds who have been subject to sexual, mentally, they may not be able to come to grips with what happened to them until they're older. And so giving those individuals, men and women, an opportunity to come forward, I think is important. But it just really depends on where you are in that regard. But many of those laws are still in play.
Yeah, so I think what I would say to that is, I think we'll still see a ton of lawsuits and accusations. But what I think is going to happen over time is it's almost going to be a scenario where how can you validate them, right? You know, there's so many women, like you just see so many women coming out the woodworks right now with naming an experience that they were uncomfortable with, that kind of invalidates the real victims, right? So it's gonna always be a scrutiny of who's just after money and who's trying to do a real thing, and how they're gonna try to figure out who's a real victim and not. Because in the court of public opinion, as soon as it comes out, guilty or some sort of negative backlash that's just a mess, right? So I think it's gonna still happen, but I think because of all these frivolous suits that's coming up, it's gonna be really hard to be heard with real empathy, right? Because it's too much of just trying to get money at this point under these circumstances.
You still in the game?
What game you talking about?
The stripper, like.
Yeah. So I mean, I own a business, right? That we do shows every weekend, so I run the club. So I'm there every weekend.
What's the ticket prices now that after the?
No one can hear you.
What's the ticket prices now?
So here's the up thing about it, right? I'm uncomfortable to perform, right?
Right, for sure.
Because I believe, and you guys could speak to this, I think for the most part, if you know the facts and you've heard me interview or whatever, I think my public persona is probably not that bad, right? But you gotta remember, there's still a great deal of people that base everything on ideology, opinion. They're not looking for the facts. So I can be in a club with 100 women and 90 of them will be like, oh, he's good. You know what I'm saying? But all you need is one. All you need one that I go on stage and it's like, that's the Punisher guy? That's the one that was peeing on like, I you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even involved in that, right? But if this customer makes this much uproar in the crowd, it can create.
That's what I was going to ask. How is this affecting your business life, and like how do you get past that? Like, how do you have you had to step into a new lane? Or on the business side of it?
I'm trying to, right? I mean, I feel like my days as me as an actual performer and interacting that way, I feel like I have to move away from that, because there's never gonna be a totality of people that are comfortable just because of misinformation.
Right.
Like I still get DMs. Like if you even look at comments, like you look, this interview will post, right? And it'll be people in the comments, he's lying, Diddy paid him off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like you always gonna get those people, right? And so I gotta watch, I just have to manage that. And hopefully, like you said, hopefully I can shift into, you know, the book sales and some coaching and some things like that. And this platform and this knowledge I have opens up some doors that way.
What's the one thing you heard about yourself that you want to clarify and clean up, that you just know is just super untrue?
Bro, I mean, I have to honestly say I'm good with everything, man. You know, I'm not gonna address the opinions that's coming from the people who are not informed, or you're just gonna get those batch of people that they just want to see you in a bad light. Right. So I'm not gonna, you know, try to prove myself to them. You know, I think the people who took the time to educate themselves on what's going on, to listen to me, to use their wise mind to make an opinion, I think I'll land on my feet, you know? And the people who thinks, you know, I'm paid off by Diddy, or, you know what I'm saying? Or even though he was investigated 11 months, testified, he never spoke to him, I know him and Diddy still hooked up. Like, I can't address that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just over the top, you know?
Do you feel like prostitution should be legal?
Well, so I'm gonna say no, right? And I'm gonna say no because people toe the lines, right? Like, look, drinking is legal, right? But we still catch 18-year-olds in the club buying drinks, right? You can only police it but so much, right? And people's gonna push the line, right? Prostitution is illegal and people are pushing the line, right? When you make it legal, yeah, it's too much, right? What, keep it legal and people will push the line. I'd rather see them police it loosely than make it legal.
If you could take anything back from the Diddy situation, what would it be?
So I have to be honest, right? If I don't know, if I'm just being completely honest, right? I don't know I'd do anything differently with the understanding and the experience that I had. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just really being 100, right? I wasn't the guy that seen her get beat up, right? I wasn't the guy that I had the guy urinating on her, and you know, none of that crazy stuff happened, right? So, you know, I don't want to sit back and try to paint this scenario of myself like now I'm this holier than thou righteous guy, right? Like I saw an extremely beautiful woman that her husband, at the time, I thought it was her husband, was gonna pay me to have sex with her. And if I show up to a party tomorrow and I open the door and I see a woman that looks like that with a stack of money, if I'm keeping it 100, which kill me in the comments, you know what I'm saying? But I can't say I'm gonna be like, nope, not this time. I might be like,
right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, for
like,
real.
Like I just,
So,
you know.
If there was a moment of you saw that might have been maybe too aggressive, or he was handling her in a way that you felt was aggressive, would you have stepped in?
Yeah, man. Yeah, not necessarily on some.
I'm gonna whoop his ass.
Yeah, but like, bro, you wildin'. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like you wildin'. But you know what I'm saying? I would have to, right? Like,
For sure.
Like I'm not gonna look at that and then see I'm gonna think from an intellectual standpoint, right? I'm gonna think maybe he's drunk, maybe he's high, maybe not. This is the norm, right? There's something that's making him go over the top, and then I'm gonna try to break that up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna like I don't know, one of the dudes like, oh, I heard him in the room, I heard the like, nah, I'm not gonna just like, all right, let me just wait. You know, like I'm not gonna do that, you know?
What do you say to all the people that have all these stories that did nothing? Like they were there, they did nothing. They watched her get beat up. They were there, they watched all these heinous things happen.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, look, as men, right? We know where we stand individually. Like, I don't want to stomp on anybody. Whatever that moment was. Everybody's not confident. Everybody's not brave, right? Each man has their own flaws in terms of what they go through. So I'm not gonna get into judging their lack of acting, right, in the moment. I'm just gonna say they're conscious. They gotta live with that, you know. And then the circle after the fact, and now portray it as almost they're a victim too. That's the thing that throws me off, right? Like the last thing I am, and some people even try to spin it as if I'm a victim, right? But we're all the sum of our choices, right? Like I made these choices, and that's why I said a minute ago, it's not like, if I'm really being honest, would I have made the same choice? Could I still make the same choice? Yeah, right? So I'm never gonna play it as a victim. You evaluate the circumstances before you get involved in them, right? So in my evaluation, you know, those would have been my boundaries. I would have said something to the guys that didn't, you know, they gotta live with that, you know?
I asked you earlier, was sober. Did ever offer you something to loosen you up?
Every time I was offered if I wanted a drink, and it would just be weed though. Like now, I don't know if there could have been something else in the weed, right? I don't smoke weed, and then I didn't smoke weed. Now I'll pop a gummy, right? But you know, I never found myself under the influence. I think one time I took a puff, and then I didn't. In terms of reading her, right? I didn't see anything with her that.
She was a weed smoker then.
Yeah, she would walk around with smoking weed. Yeah. But that was about it.
Just alcohol.
And it was kind of like it wasn't even like a, hey, do you need something? It was just to cordial. You invite somebody in, hey, you want a drink? You want whatever? But it was no emphasis on like trying to get me high, like for the moment, you know? It was kind of just, hey, do you want something?
Right. And you,
That's crazy though, when you think about it. Because I was just thinking about the whole thing. You were with them almost to the end, and you didn't see it. So it's like, do you feel like they just had different people for different experiences?
Yeah, so, you know, everybody clowns Diddy for the veil, right? For the burqa, right? But if you really think about it, like that wasn't some fetish, I just want to be butt naked with this on, right? He was going like to the furthest lengths to keep his identity hidden, right? So, and whatever the scenario was with me, if he's going to those extreme lengths to keep his identity hidden, right? You know, there still has to be some conscious within itself. Like, I don't want to slip up.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So they're doing stuff very meticulously, right? They never had full conversations in front of me.
Right. You said, but in another interview, you said after a while, he just started wearing that baseball cap. Like,
Yeah, like a year, 15 months in.
yeah, he's like, I'm just wearing the baseball. He knows who I am.
Yeah, I think like this is my right,
Right.
but I told in the other interviews, I found out because I cut on the TV, and there was a welcome message on the TV saying Essex House would like to welcome Mr. Sean Combs.
Right.
So that's how I found out.
Right.
And I think after finding out, like I think it might have been aware, like, oh, he cut the TV on. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
then he stopped the burqa and he was doing a baseball cap, but it still wasn't overt, right? It still would be, so like I said, if this is the setup, right?
Right.
Like, let's say she's on the couch here, I'm here, and he would position himself here, but
Right.
8 feet away. So even when he's in the room, I can't see, I gotta do this, or I can't see him.
Right.
And so the times I did see him, it's peripheral because he would walk side to side.
Right.
But it was, even with the baseball cap, in a dark room, like over my shoulder, because he would always come in when we're in the act,
Right.
right? So even with the baseball cap, I'm still not gonna see him, right? So I don't know if the baseball cap was because he knew I knew, or just he thought, this guy don't know who I am.
What would be on the playlist?
So the only thing I remember specifically from the playlist, and it's crazy because when I left there, I bought the album. They were playing Miguel's Catalyscope or whatever. Remember that album, Miguel? Yeah.
I was like, did you hear any unreleased music?
Bro, I did, but not during the act. Not during the act. Like when I used to come in, sometimes I'll be waiting hours, right? And she'll come, she'll hang with me, whatever, and then he'll be like in a back room or whatever, blasting all this different music, beats, stuff like that I never heard before.
Oh, that shit crazy.
Yeah. He'll be in there like vibing to, I guess, stuff he's trying to put together.
Now, one of the other things that was kind of wild was a week-long freak off. Like, how horny do you gotta be? Like,
I don't know, bro. I never was a part of those things.
oh, okay.
So my scenario would be 3 days in a row.
That's still three straight days.
But it would be, like I would always show up, like let's say 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., leave.
Got you, okay.
Come back 3 a.m., 7 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think I think the longest I ever stayed was like maybe at 3 a.m. to like 11 a.m.
Got you, okay. Because I was gonna say that do sound sex slavish. That's what I was gonna say. It's like a week long, bro. That do sound kind of like
that's crazy.
Diddy.
And then a week long, you're gonna think, based on the testimonies, a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
A lot of those things, and I wasn't part of that.
Now, one of the things I always wonder about this whole thing is like, it seemed like y'all kept this so quiet until the trial. Like none of this, like you hear rumors about Diddy and some of the stuff, but they all were just rumors. How was this able to be kept so under the radar, or was it something that everybody knew under the ground? Like,
so I think people knew it under the ground, right? But you want, so I sum it up to basketball, right? To sports, right? If you got a star basketball player, right, a star athlete, right, and he's involved in a situation, right? If you're the news station that reports on it, right, then you lose access. That guy's never gonna give you an interview. He's never gonna, you know what I'm saying, come through or whatever. And look, at the end of the day, Diddy's up here, right? So do you wanna be the news outlet? Do you wanna be the behind the scenes producer? Do you wanna be the person to out his personal business? And now when you wanna do business in the future, you could be stepping on his toes, or he has influence, right? So you're gonna keep your mouth shut. You don't wanna, and the people who don't care, like back in the day, like the Wendy Williams and these things.
Or the TMZs and all that.
Yeah. I mean, there's only a couple of outlets, people with the platform that they can do it and not be affected.
So you witnessed his power firsthand then, at that point.
I mean, I'm a right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm just trying to use my mind to understand what would keep somebody quiet, because you don't want to step on their toes.
Has anybody, because you did take the stand, and we are where we come from, has anybody tried to play you like, man, you snitched?
So no, I haven't. Luckily, I haven't experienced that.
Right.
And I think because I took the stand, but I wasn't up there. I wasn't biased, right?
Right.
Like I just told the truth, said what I had to say. And I think people, they read that as, he didn't throw anybody under the bus, right? I didn't throw Diddy under the bus. I didn't throw under the bus. I just said
shot it straight down the middle,
Shot straight down the middle, man.
If you could ask Cassie one question without no lawyers and nothing, what would you ask her? You might tell him he is.
I think what I would, if I could ask her one question, I would, like, because obviously she didn't testify. She didn't testify directly to her bad experience being with me, right? So I think I would seek out clarity. In fact, was I part of your distress, right? Or was I the comfortable situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what I would want to believe, right? I would want to believe, this dude I was comfortable with. So I think I would ask if I would seek clarity on that.
Have any of the other men that were involved reached out to you and tried to like form some kind of like kinship over this trial?
So I know the guy, Rico. He was just recently on Cam Show. You know, we work for the same company. We're cool. So I definitely spoke to him. Now he wasn't involved with. He was involved with Jane Doe.
Okay.
So
Jane Doe.
yeah. So you know, we're cool.
When you
right?
when you hear Jane Doe and she's giving her testimony, but he's still actively paying your rent and things of that nature, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that you know, those are the parts of it that.
Shout out Reallyfe Street Stars, nigga. Move it. Hey.